Hello, it's Simon Zutshi here, and in this property education video, I want to give you a property market update for 2023 and a property market prediction for 2024. Now, I've been investing in property since 1995, and I've been teaching people like you how to become more successful investors for the last 2 decades. I'm also the author of Property Magic, the Amazon #1 property book, and also I'm the founder of the Property Investors Network, the largest network of property meetings in the UK, and also now in the Netherlands, and also now in Dubai as well. So in this video, what I want to share with you are 3 things. I'm going to talk about inflation rates, I'm going to talk about interest rates, and I'm going to talk about the effect on the property market and what's happened this year in 2023 and my property market prediction for 2024. So first of all, let's talk about inflation. During COVID, the government spent a huge amount of money, so everyone expected we were going to have problems with inflation the following few years. And that certainly happened. At the beginning of 2023, we had inflation that was double-digit inflation. Now, inflation has been halved. We're at 4.6%. The government, and Rishi Sunak in particular, said he was going to reduce and halve inflation. He's achieved that. They're very happy about that. But the problem is, the 4.6% is still double the 2% target that the Bank of England wants. Now, the Bank of England use their interest rates as a macroeconomic tool to control inflation. So when inflation goes up, they increase interest rates to try and bring inflation down because they slow the economy down. And when inflation comes down, they bring interest rates down again. So obviously this high inflation caused interest rates to go up. And we saw this interest rate hike starting in February 2022. And throughout 2022, we had interest rates go up to about 3% in December 22. And they just went up to 3.5% just as the year changed over into 23. So really in this last year, we've had another almost 2% increase in interest rates up to 5.25%. So in other words, in the last 2 years, we've had rates go from the very low 0.5% up to 5.25%. Now, what does that mean for the property market? Well, you have a lot of landlords and investors who have buy-to-let mortgages. Now, if someone has a fixed rate mortgage, obviously interest rates going up has no effect until they come to the end of that fixed rate period. 25% of properties in the UK have no mortgages at all, so they're obviously not affected. But a lot of landlords had variable mortgages. And the reason they had variable mortgages was maybe they got a mortgage prior to the last financial crisis. The last property market crash was in 2008. And they might have got a mortgage then. And when the property market crash came in 2008, what happened was the banks all brought their interest rates down. So a lot of people who were on fixed rate mortgages, when they came off those fixed rate mortgages onto the standard variable rate, they were paying a very low interest rate. And that was the case for about a decade. So many investors got used to having very low interest on their buy-to-let property mortgages. They were making lots of cash flow even from single-let buy-to-lets. And so they just left the mortgages where they were. And I think people didn't really notice the interest rates starting to creep up. Of course, it was in the news, but they didn't really feel the effect of them very much. But in this last year, in 2023, where we see rates go up from 3.5% up to over 5%, the situation for many landlords who've had these variable mortgages is suddenly they've got buy-to-let properties where the interest they're paying on a monthly basis on their buy-to-let mortgage is actually more than the rental income coming in from the property. Now, we've seen about 10% growth in rental rates over the last year as well, so that's obviously helped. But there are still landlords who have properties where they're paying more in interest than they are in rent. Now, obviously, a lot of those people think, you know what? With all the talk about changing regulations, abolition of Section 21s that have been talked about a lot this year, a lot of landlords are deciding maybe now is the time to sell up and get out of the property game. So that's had a lot of landlords putting their properties on the market. By the way, they've been doing that consistently since about 2015 when the government first announced their plans for Section 24, and that came into force in April 2017. And Section 24, of course, is where if you own property in your own name, which most of the 2 million landlords used to do, And if you have mortgages, which again most landlords have, and if you're a higher rate taxpayer, which not all but many landlords are, suddenly you're paying a lot more tax on your property income. Now, a lot of people again didn't notice it when it first came in 2017. It was phased over 4 years. And it's only really been the last couple of years where people have felt the pinch and felt actually they're getting a lot less profit from their property investments. And particularly we have this double whammy where suddenly this year we've seen landlords, pretty much the rate they've been paying the mortgage has pretty much doubled. It means they're not actually making any cash flow profit from their property, and yet on paper they are making a phantom profit. So at the end of the next tax year, these landlords are going to have to pay some money to HMRC. So that's not a great scenario. So that's why many landlords are either selling their properties, maybe they're incorporating it, put it into a company which isn't affected by Section 24, or they're changing their properties, they're changing the use. Maybe if they're a larger property, they're changing them into HMOs, houses of multiple occupation, or they're turning them into short-term serviced accommodation. Both strategies have a really high cash flow, and those two strategies, by the way, are my recommended strategies for the current property market. They're both very high cash flow, there's really good demand for both of them, and they're cost effective for the tenants in the HMOs and the guests in the serviced accommodation. So my big tips, great strategy to do, are serviced accommodation and HMOs for the 2024 property market. So this effect on interest rates becoming very expensive means that many landlords will be looking to sell up, and also you've had lots of homeowners. Some homeowners have had their home mortgages, when they've come off the fixed rate, double, triple, or even quadruple, and some of those people just cannot afford those properties. So part of my prediction for 2024 is I think there'll be a lot more people, unfortunately, in financial difficulty, unable to afford their mortgage payments, and probably more repossessions happening. That's where someone can't afford to pay the mortgage and the lender takes the property back. However, I'm pretty sure that the government has said to banks and mortgage companies, look, you need to be flexible, you need to be tolerant. These are difficult times for people. You can't just take the property back. You really need to work with property owners to hopefully try and avoid repossession. I think it'll be very bad publicity for the government if there's a massive increase in repossessions. That's not good news, particularly in 2024 when people are probably going to see a next general election. Now, also, general election might be something that affects the property market. A lot of the things that the Conservative government have done, I don't think have actually been very supportive to free enterprise and entrepreneurs. I mean, Section 24 in itself is a very unfair policy. However, if the Conservatives don't win the next election, and who knows what's going to happen, I don't want to make this at all political, but if they don't win and the Labour Party get in, it's a bit concerning about some of the things the Labour Party are talking about in terms of if you are a property owner. Things like massively increasing the amount of capital gains tax we pay when we sell a property, maybe introducing things like rent capping, which they've done in Scotland, which has caused a real problem in Scotland. I think the Labour Party would try and do something like that here as well. So I think it's been an interesting situation over the last couple of years. Many landlords wanted to sell up, which, by the way, is really good for us. That's one of the reasons rents have gone up so much. It's because there's less rental stock available, and we have an increasing population. In 2023, I think it was something like 500,000 people immigrated into the UK. Some of those legitimately, some not so legitimately, with the problem we've got with all the boat people. So the point is, you have to remember that we live on this island with a limited amount of accommodation and an increasing population. So over the long term, we always see property prices and rents will go up over the long term. But you've got to remember, property prices do not always go up. Property is a cyclical market. Prices go up and they come down. We saw the last property market crash in 2008. Many people were predicting that we would see a property market crash in 2023. I didn't think we'd see that. I think we're seeing a correction. And let's now talk about what's happened to property prices over 2023 and what might happen in 2024 in my market prediction. So if you look at Halifax, who's the biggest mortgage company in the UK, they regularly produce reports on the property market. And they were reporting in the summer that prices were down about 3.5–4% compared to last year. However, the last couple of months, October, we saw a 1.1% increase in property prices from by about £3,000 up to just under £282,000. And then in November, there was another 0.5% increase. Now, We don't know what's going to happen in December. When I'm filming this video, the figures aren't out yet. We're going to have to wait till January to see what happens. I doubt we'll see a property increase. And I think the first few months of the year in 2024, we'll see prices come down marginally. If you look at the whole year, on average, prices are only 1% lower than they were a year ago. And actually, property prices are still, the average property is £40,000 more than it was pre-COVID. I expected prices to correct back to pre-COVID prices, and that hasn't happened yet, so I was wrong in that estimation, but we've got a bit of time next year. My personal view, my property market prediction for 2024 is that we will see property prices probably come down a few more percent, I believe, and we might see a bit of a increased activity in spring 2024. Spring is when a lot of people think about moving and selling properties. More properties come on the market, there are more buyers, but the biggest problem is going to be around interest rates. And it depends what happens to inflation as to how fast interest rates come down. I don't think we're going to see interest rates come down probably until Q2, quarter two of 2024. When interest rates start to come down, I think that will be a real signal and there'll be a real surge in the property market. So I believe that the first few months of 2024, we'll probably see prices come down because we'll probably still have inflation higher than the target rate of 2% the Bank of England has. We'll have high interest rates relatively to the last decade, and that makes affordability a problem for home buyers and also affordability a problem for landlords where the rental income just doesn't stack up. So these problems are going to persist until interest rates finally come down. So if I had to put money in, I would expect that by the end of 2024, overall, the market will have sorted itself out. I think we'll see prices start to rise. I wouldn't be surprised if they've come down a little bit by then, but also I would hope that interest rates start to come down. And I think we'll probably get to more like a target rate of 3 or 4% for the Bank of England base rate, but that may not be until 2025. So should you buy now or should you wait? A question I'm always asked. My personal view is if you know what you're doing, if you're educated and you find a good deal that meets your criteria, I would just buy it now. So a fundamental thing you want to do is work out what are your buying criteria. What area do you want to buy in? What type of property you want to buy? What kind of cash flow do you want to make? What kind of return on investment do you want to make as well? And if it meets your criteria, buy it. Don't worry, well, I could wait and it might be a bit cheaper in a few months' time. Well, that might be the case, but if it's a good deal, someone else is going to snap it up. So you need to be an action taker. You need to be decisive if you want to be a successful property investor. So my view is get educated, make sure you get your buying criteria right, and if you see a good property deal, snap it up. I can tell you my personal property market prediction for 2024 is I don't really mind what happens to the market, but I am going to be picking up a lot more property this next 12 months than I probably have in the last few years, because I think there's still lots of motivated sellers, people who really need to sell. It's one of the things I talk about in Property Magic. We find people who've got a problem, not to take advantage, but to help them try and solve their problem, come up with an ethical win-win. If you give other people what they want, they're far more likely to give you what you want. I think it's going to be an incredible opportunity. I'm going to share my journey over the next 12 months on this YouTube channel, so I do hope you enjoy. So if you've liked this video, found it useful, please hit the like button, kind of comment below. I'll come and answer as many questions as I can. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Also hit the bell icon to make sure you don't miss any of the updates as I bring them out. The final thing I would say to you is, if you want to really boost your property investing success in 2024, you need to grow your network. The bigger your network, the more people you know in your industry, the more successful you will be. The more opportunities you will come across, the more people you can work with, the more people who can help you. So one of the easiest ways to grow your property network is by attending the Property Investor Network meetings. They happen all over the UK in the evenings during the week. We also have meetings in the Netherlands and Dubai, and also coming very soon Brazil as well. And we're expanding over Europe in 2024 as well. But if you've never been to a PIN meeting, you don't know what you're missing out on. Everyone there is interested in property. You have people who are completely new, people who are very experienced. Everyone is welcome, and we make everyone very welcome. We'll introduce you to other people. And the more people you meet, the more successful you're going to be. So I'd really encourage you, click on the link below, which is to pinmeeting.co.uk. All the meetings are listed there. It's £20-25 to come along, not an expensive investment. But if you've never been before, we'd love you to come along as our guest, just as a thank you for watching this YouTube channel and come and see if it's right for you. So all you do is go to pinmeeting.co.uk, select your local meeting, check you can do the date and time, and then scroll down to the bottom of the page where you would normally pay. Click on where it says pay with a voucher code, and then use the code YouTube. Use the code YouTube along with your details, and it will send you a confirmation email to confirm your booking. Make sure you look out for the email, check your spam box as well, put the date and time into your diary, get along to your local PIN meeting and see what you've been missing out on. I'd like to wish you a very happy new year. I think 2024 is going to be an incredible opportunity for some of us. Fortunes are going to be made in 2024, and I hope you're in that group as well. As ever, I encourage you to invest with knowledge, invest with skill. Hello, it's Simon Zutshi here. I do hope you just enjoyed that YouTube video. And you know what? If you really want to move forward in your property investing, it's much easier to do it with the help of other people. And one of the best things you can do is go to your local property investor network meeting where you can meet other like-minded people. You can learn some of the very best strategies and really get a motivational positive boost every single month about what you could achieve from your property investing. Now, there are 50 plus meetings around the UK. We've got meetings in the Netherlands, we've got them in the UAE as well, and growing around Europe. So all you have to do is click on the link below this video, go to pinmeeting.co.uk. All the meetings are listed there. Click on the one that's closest to you, see when the date and time is, and if you want to attend that meeting, you can just buy a ticket, or if you want to come as my guest to your very first PIN meeting, just use the voucher code, which is the word YouTube, because obviously you've watched the YouTube video. So just go to pinmeeting.co.uk, pick your location, scroll down where it says payment options, click on pay with a voucher code, fill in the details, use the word YouTube, and it will bypass the payment page and you can come to your very first PIN meeting for free. If you haven't been yet, I highly recommend you come along and see exactly what you've been missing out on. You're going to wish you would have gone years ago. It's going to help you move forward massively with your property investing. So if you enjoy these videos, I highly recommend you go and check out the PIN meeting. Click on the link below in the description. Invest with knowledge, invest with skill, and enjoy the next video.